I'm happy to, maybe if we could go on gallery and if there's any questions.
Definitely. Beautiful, Tammy. Thank you so much for making that connection between human health and planet's health. I mean, it was just perfect with the correspondence you were able to get.
Well, my beautiful trustee,
Okay.
he found my PowerPoint for me. He edited my PowerPoint for me. Thank you.
Thanks, Paul.
My pleasure. Yeah.
Any
Sir,
questions for Tammy? Sure. There's a lot of appreciation in the chat, especially for your poem.
Thank you.
Allison?
Yes, Tammy. I just feel overwhelmed with your material. I feel like I want to see this presentation over and over and over again. Aside from what Sailesh was commenting on, the connection between ourselves, our own health and the health of the planet, the intricacies of the interwoven elements of our own health and the health of the planet are all present in your presentation. And there's so many things that I didn't realize before. So thank you for putting that all together in this context. I look forward to going on this journey with you and to learning more. Thank you.
Oh, you're so sweet, Allison. Thank you very much for your beautiful presence.
Thank you, Tammy.
Yeah. I mean, you made Reverend Beth's presentation so much more relevant, by making that connection. We cannot heal the earth until we heal ourselves. Oops. Okay. Paige.
Thank you, Tammy. Thank you, Tammy. Hopefully you can hear me.
Yes.
Thank you so much. I was thinking for those people that watch this for the first time, have their first time experience with you, what would you say are maybe like the top 3 first steps for people to take to follow your protocol? What would you recommend for people? And even people like me who are not necessarily doing all the protocol that you suggest, the 3 things. I think water is one of them, right? Drink a lot of water.
Yeah, I think it's really important to drink structured water every day. So I think it's really important if you don't have a juicer to eat as much raw, organic, or hopefully veganic. Hopefully we'll see a lot more veganic food in the future, but eat a lot of structured water in food. And if you're not making juices, so eat a lot of food in its natural state and chew it a lot. We have to break down the fiber, and we have to really, and being present to that food is really important. I really believe strongly in whatever type of meditation people do, whether it's a walking meditation, like sometimes if I'm not spending a lot of time sitting and I go out into the forest, I really allow myself to be present to my breath and my footsteps. But I think without calming my mind, I don't make good choices for myself throughout the day. I end up, gravitating towards caffeine or, because I get tired because I get out of homeostasis really quickly. So I think for me, eating a lot of structured water food and drinking water, like good quality water, and getting outside every day. It's just as soon as I walk under the like, because I live in a colder climate, but as soon as I get under the sky, it's like you're not confined to what's going on in your life. So, and really quick resets. I love teaching people quick resets because I think that if we have too much energy, maybe not good energy running through our system, like things that make us feel like we're a little bit exhausted, a really quick reset, like getting up and doing what I call kindergarten qigong. So you just get up and you shake your body really, really quick, like you're only bones, and you do this like for 30 seconds to a minute, and then you stop Like if you just try it, if everyone tried it right now, wherever they were, stand up and do your kindergarten qigong. So just shake, 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 even 30 seconds, as fast as you can, and stop. And you will just feel the energy moving through your body that quick, instead of gravitating towards like a chocolate bar, whatever we want to do. I think for me, I struggled with food addiction off and on my whole life. And I really found the addiction panel really interesting because I do think there's a certain amount of abstinence that has to happen. But I think that if we get rid of, like, if we reset ourselves, reset our homeostasis often through, I tell people, when you have a craving, eat a protein fat. So that's just a tablespoon of hemp hearts. Have 2 glasses of water, do a quick movement, wait 20 minutes. The craving will be gone. The nervous system resets in 20 minutes. Have a fat protein, drink a couple glasses of water, do a bit of kindergarten qigong, or a couple yoga moves, like maybe a couple sun salutations. You'll be on a whole new track. That's all it takes. Yeah. So anyways, I hope that helps. A quick reset. And I tell people, do the quick movement reset, drink a couple glasses of water, have a fat protein to balance. And like hemp hearts are my favorite. And then you'll be reset within 20 minutes and your craving will definitely be gone.
Tammy, that as always was so illuminating, and I love the way you wove yourself into the this just blossom of so much knowledge. And I have a few things I'm taking home with me, which is I love the term light is therapy. That is just so succinct and I love that. And green food builds blood is another one that I just feel like that's just that was very easy for me to take away. Would you, I have like a regular question. Could you expound a little bit on iodine? This has come up, somebody was mentioning that not long ago. And then the other one is, I have been trying to stay away from natural flavors, and it's very confusing. They're in everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm wondering if you have a purchase on, what they are, and have an opinion about them. So those are my 2 questions.
Yeah, thank you. Well, Gabriel teaches a lot about iodine. I will send whoever would like, I will send you a couple of really good articles on it. A lot of people think of iodine in a certain way. Maybe once upon a time it was cleaning wounds. It's still good to really have in your wound kit. I'm telling you, always have iodine. But we're all very deficient in iodine. Iodine doesn't just support the thyroid. It sits in the crypts in the intestines, the breast tissue. There's a lot of link between breast cancer and iodine deficiency. People have healed colitis just having the right amount of iodine. I've got everybody that I work with on iodine, and they're not getting colds and flus, and all their partners are getting colds and flus. It kills bacteria and virus like nothing else. It's just a really important element we need. A lot of people don't necessarily take supplements, but the iodine is one of them. I tell people iodine, spirulina, and then whatever supplements that you're really deficient in, of course, B12. And as far as I was a little bit stressed because I was trying to find my PowerPoint. What was the second question?
Sure, that's fine. Let me just ask, is the iodine, would it be liquid form?
Yeah, the one I really like that I usually carry some when I have clients is Magnicent, but there's all kinds. And I know there's a magnicent.com too, so you can probably get that. I'm not part of the company, but it's the man who started that company in Canada. His wife had all kinds of fibroids on her ovaries and she couldn't get pregnant. And he started researching and he found out the connection between iodine deficiency and fibroids. And she went on iodine, she got rid of all her fibroids.
Mm-hmm. The other question was natural flavors. Do you have any thoughts on
There's
that?
such a huge list, and I can give you some authors that have done some amazing work on this. You just kind of try to eat as whole food as you can. Try not to buy packaged food as little as possible. Just start from scratch, whole food, all natural flavorings, spices, herbs, you know, and it's actually not as difficult as it seems that when we learn about batch food and just simply raw food. I mean, Renee was talking a little bit about that, you know, she just will spread some almond butter on a toast. For me, I love it on my apples or celery. Whole Foods and Reverend's on here. Reverend Beth Love's on here, and she's a wealth of knowledge. There's so much knowledge on here about how to just try to stay away from all of this stuff. I'm sure there's a lot on the other websites with the whole food community and Plant-Based Nation. If they don't, but I have a couple authors that I've studied that talk a lot about the natural flavors and excitotoxins. There's a couple of physicians that have completely quit their practice and spent all of their time dedicating their life to teaching people about excitotoxins because they realized they were that destructive for our body, our brains.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing your poetry too.
Thank you, Lisa. Grandmother, vegan grandmother.
Which is exactly where we are going right now. So take it away, Tammy, on Million Vegan Grandmothers.
And you can leave Lisa out.
Okay, fine.
Okay.
I'll leave it up there.
Oops.
Yeah. That's fine.
Hello, Lisa. Yeah, you are spotlighted now. Hello. Can we bring up, Judy is going to read. Judy is going to read. Can we bring up all the grandmothers that are going to present right now? And I think what we're going to do now is I think we're just going to leave it on gallery and I think we'll just share. Rebecca, a little change of heart here. So Judy Carmen, I think she's here, and Beth Love, and Akil is going to come up and share a little bit. And who else is going to be sharing today? Raise your hand if you're going to be sharing as a grandmother today. Thank you. And is Judy Carmen here? She was going to read the declaration and
Yeah, she's here.
Great. We can bring up Judy. Hi, Judy.
There we go. It wouldn't unmute there for minutes. Hi, Tammy, that was an amazing presentation. Thank you so much for all your intelligence, hard work, and everything, and just the gift that you gave us with all that wonderful information.
Well, I don't look quite as peppy as I usually do. I've been a little stressed out today, but the nice thing about homeostasis is the body will return to its natural state if we just take care of it for a little bit, and so will the earth. So.
Okay, so take care of yourself while we're doing the Million Vegan Grandmothers, and take a little break while I read the declaration. So Tammy asked me to read this declaration, and I think it might be nice if everyone just kind of close their eyes. Even if you're not a vegan grandmother, I think you can all identify with the intent of this. And I think originally we got together because of our grandchildren and our passion for creating a world that works for them and the animals. But this is the declaration, and if you'd like to close your eyes while I read it, and just kind of settle into the intent and the beauty of this. We, the Million Vegan Grandmothers and wisdom carriers, join together using the power of love. Love for the children and grandchildren of all beings and for Mother Earth. Welcome are all people, regardless of gender, age, and official grandmother status, who align with the values of veganism and this declaration. We affirm the right of all beings to live in a natural, toxic-free environment which allows all to thrive and to lead sacred, liberated, sovereign, and joyful lives. The power of our love is unstoppable. We do not allow this planet and all who live here to be destroyed. We are creating a vegan world of peace, freedom, and loving kindness for all. We believe that the true nature of human beings and our highest calling is to be kind, compassionate, nonviolent, and partners with, not dominators of, all life. We believe this is the time of the great awakening of humanity, to leave behind the destructive nature of Homo sapiens and become who we have always been destined to be, Homo ahimsa. As vegan grandmothers, we are here to midwife the birth of the new compassionate human and bring in the new era of a vegan ahimsa world so that our children and grandchildren and those of all species can thrive and be free. Thank you, everyone. And thank you, Tammy, for starting the Million Vegan Grandmothers. Wonderful idea.
Thank you, Judy. Would you read the other piece for us?
What piece is that? Oh, the pledge?
Yes, please.
Okay. I see it right here. So this is a short paragraph. This is the pledge of the Million Vegan Grandmothers and Wisdom Carriers. I pledge to honor and protect all the animals, peoples, and Mother Earth herself by joyfully embodying and promoting an infinitely sustainable, cruelty-free vegan lifestyle that heals the climate and restores right relationships in the true spirit of Homo ahimsa for all generations to come.
And thank you for the writing and the teachings of Homo ahimsa, who we really are, Judy. Maybe you could start, the conversation. We're all just going to share for 5 to 8 minutes about Homo ahimsa and how it came about for you.
Okay, sure. That book came out a few years ago. It's called Homo Ahimsa, Who We Really Are and How We're Going to Save the World. And it's just totally aligned with everything that we do at VCOP. The idea for me, was when Noah Yuval Harari wrote the book Homo Deus, which means God human, Deus being Latin for God. And I thought, okay, I need to write something that balances his concept out, because he is basically saying in his book, a very large best-selling book that'll evidently lots and lots of people read, was a warning to humanity that we are heading towards AI, artificial intelligence, and blending our brains with artificial intelligence and looking for a way to live forever by using bionic parts and all these things, which of course only the very wealthy could afford to do. And he later has even spoken, Harari, about how human beings have no souls. And that was not in his book, but he's spoken of that more recently. So I felt like I had to say, you know what, there's another path we can take. And that path is to go to who we really are, which is Homo ahimsa, the loving creature that we have always meant to be. But we've all of us have had things happen to us, traumas, and also had to work through a lot of negative feelings. That's one of our big challenges, I think, is to learn how to see the beauty in everything. and especially activists who are constantly looking at what is going on that's wrong and figuring out what to do to change it. But Homo Ahimsa, it's partly the idea that we really can't create this vegan world unless we change ourselves too. And so, but not change so much as come out, like you said earlier, Tammy, as the butterfly out of the cocoon and reveal our true nature. But that takes a lot of inner work, and a lot of what we do at BCOP is talking about that inner work. And so that is, I think, a lot about what that book is about. And I wrote it because I feel like we need encouragement. We need to see that we're really going to do this. We really are going to create a vegan world.
Thank you, Judy. If you haven't read it, you must read it. It's a powerful, powerful book. Thank you.
Thanks, Tammy.
Yeah, I want to read it.
Rebecca, would you share a little bit?
Thank you, Tammy. I love the grandmothers and I love their letter writing program or gathering. I thought, what could I share today that I thought would be beneficial to the people that are on here now and maybe later? And I think two things come to mind, and that is the Food Healers group. I would like for people to know that you can start a Food Healers group even on your own driveway. Set up a table, make some unity stew, and do that, which I've done, and it was easy. It happened to be a very cold day, but and put some flyers around. It's helpful to have friends to do that with. You can also collaborate with a local group. And what I've done is with my church, I've got a few people involved, and we just offered unity stew to a group that serves food to the homeless. So they get meat, dairy, and eggs every day of the week. And we decided we will help with one of those days a week, a month, one day a month, and hopefully we'll do more. So I just want to encourage people to do that, and also let you know that you can come online and join the Food Healers 7 a.m. Pacific time, and someone will put the link, or you can email Jamin or Marco or me or Dr. Rao, but we'll give you the link and you can come in and share with other food healers what you're doing. I needed this for my own little Food Healers group, and so now anybody can join us, or anybody can have the time they want to ask questions. So that's one thing I wanted to make sure that people know about. And there's a lot of ways to do that. I know you've done it also, Tammy. And gosh, all the grandmothers have. The other thing I wanted to share you was about one of the happiest days of my life. I had started, and I'll get it right here. I won't share screen, but I had seen this chart when I first saw Dr. Rao give his talk in 2015, and I was so excited that I made it and I showed it to people. I gave Toastmaster talks on it, and it was too much for some people. Some people love it like I do. And when I went to a vegan convergence, the first one, I got to get up to the front board and show my little chart, which looks basically like this. It's so simple. You can say all of this is the land on Earth. It's ice-free, and you can't read it, but up close you can. And if you, being a teacher, I've also made up little things where this is not filled out, and I ask them to guess, how much of the land do you think population takes? And they say, oh, this much, and how much of this and how much of that. So this is available for you. It's also on Dr. Rao's paper, paper, Animal Agriculture. And then Ray helped and put animals on it, and it got, it's very exciting to have a collaborative paper. But also I wanted to show you, I think I have some minutes left, that this sort of chart is so simple that you could be sitting at a cafe and pick up a napkin and just open it up, divide it into 10 parts, percentages are so fun, and draw some lines across it, and then start showing, look, okay, down at the bottom, that's how much the population takes up, just 1%. And then all of a sudden
Wow.
you show them the mountain and unused land and the forest, and then you have all of this, almost half the land is for feeding animals. So that's one of the little things that I've done in many groups, Toastmasters and others. And then you can say, and how much does this feed? Well, let's see, this half up here is for veggies, and it feeds about, whoops, this many people. And, but the meat, dairy, and eggs that's using this much land feeds this many. So just something to demonstrate how fun it is to use and know a little bit about the land use. And that's what I wanted to share with you today. Oh, and one more thing, besides having food healers locally, I want you to know that there are two groups that I'm working with. One is in Uganda, Love All Feed All. No, it's not Love All Feed All. It's something else, with Reverend C.C. Mike, and he has recently been on. He's with PETA's group that does research, and I helped them start their first vegan school, got their water tanks by gathering money for them. And the second group is in Ethiopia, and it's hard to give them money now except through Western Union, but they do videos and they're so appreciative because they're having a war right now. So it's very hard to deal with. But I just wanted to say, both locally and worldwide, we can help. Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Rebecca. And thank you for being such a big force in Climate Healers and these convergences and your love. And you just like, I have to just tell two quick stories, and this will be my talking time. You know, Rebecca was telling a story about, she was in church and they served some tuna, and she was down on her knees doing Ho'oponopono in front of the tuna. You know, I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. And the minister said, I can't remember what he said it right there or after, he said, just don't do that anymore here. And she goes, what? Get down on my knees and pray in church. So thank you, Rebecca, for your braveness, but also your just matter of fact and gentle, non-dramatic ways of just saying, what do you want me to do? Just kind of that wisdom that, we sometimes can acquire with age of letting go of the other stuff. And then in regards to food healers, I remember when Sailesh presented this a year ago that we were all supposed to try to get out there and feed people. And all I could think about was, where am I going to fit this in? I work full time still. I take care of my grandkids quite a bit. And the thing that happened for me is I realized when the intention is pure and you plant the seed, and I've known this for a long time, you never know when it's going to grow. And I remember talking about this a lot when I was in a 12-step group as a recovering alcoholic, and how it was so challenging for many people to see people coming in and out and with the same kind of trauma that they created the last time they went out and used. And I just always believed in the seeds. I always did. I worked in a women's shelter for a long time, and the average time that a woman goes back to an abusive partner is 5, and you hope that they make it back. But a lot of them eventually find their way out, and it's planting those seeds. So Sailesh planted a seed, Climate Healers planted a seed for me a little over a year ago. And, I was part of feeding people on the streets a couple times. And then it was Christmas time, and I just said, Paul, let's just make a big pot of soup. We made this massive industrial sized pot of soup. And we went to the Indigenous inner city church for our First Nations people and served, I don't know, lots of soup. And we just served in little paper cups so that they, if they were walking on the street, coming in from the street, they could just take it with them. And we had quite a bit left. And I said, let's just go into the inner city. And it was warm enough that I thought some of the people would still be on the streets. And they were. It was around 0. We usually have much colder temperatures by this time. And they were so grateful for a hot cup of soup. We had some scarves and stuff that some people donated and gave out. And we started doing this. And we were going downtown for my granddaughter's basketball game last week, and I live quite a ways from downtown. So when I'm going down, I just want to bring a pot of soup, but I try to go not by myself, because it's quite a rough area. but I just feel safe with Paul. And I think the energy that we carry together, our heart energetic connection, I just don't ever feel threatened. And he's just, it feels so honoring. So last weekend, we made another great big pot of soup, and we thought there's not going to be any on the streets. It was -20, -50 with wind chill factor, and there were still people on the streets. And it was humbling, the mitts that we had, we put on hands that couldn't put them on because they were too frozen, and just serving a cup of soup, just serving a cup of soup. And I remember that we were kind of having a couple issues between us that weekend. And, it did way more for us. I'm sure at least as much for us as it did for the people on the street. But it was so grounding because, by the grace of God go I. And, it wasn't through an organization. People asked us quite a bit, like a few people asked Paul, because he was the one bringing it to most of the men that were on the streets. And so he got a lot of feedback, and they were asking what organization. And it's like, just us. But that's it. We're part of the larger organization, but we don't have to join an organization. We don't have to wait till an organization gets their stuff together. We can just make a big pot of unity stew or a really nice hearty hot soup and bring it and serve it wherever we feel comfortable doing that. And because it is the kind of thing that is perplexing that we're not all doing it, and that we know that we have enough food to feed the world 10 to 14 times over. There's even some research, it's more than that if it was fed to people. So Dr. Gabriel Cousins says it's just a hoarding of resources is what we're doing. We're just hoarding the resources. So I just invite everyone, wherever you feel comfortable, just make soup and go serve it. It doesn't have to be organized at all, and bring food wherever you go. Just always have food with you. So anyways, that's my piece. Thank you. Liz, would you like to share for a few minutes? Liz Gary?
Sure. Can I share my screen? I prepared some slide images.
Can you do that, Rebecca? Who's host here? Am I host?
Dr. Rao is host.
Are you here, Dr. Rao?
Yes, I made Liz co-host.
Oh, good. Thank you. Let's see if I can do this.
There we go.
Can you see it okay? All right. It looks like it's cut off from the gallery here, but anyway, guys, I've been a foods professional most of my life. And I worked in the standard American diet for the first 15, 20 years, promoting standard American food products. And then I left the food industry to work in education for 10 years as a college recruiter and a grant manager and a special projects consultant. And then I became a vegan, and I decided I wanted to get back into food again. Well, I had recently helped to develop a degree in energy technology for the energy industry. And I went to the community college and I asked them if I could teach culinary arts again. And I went in, and they had some community classes, and they had a chef training program, and it was 2012 back then. And I was really excited about the possibility of adding a new degree program, but they told me that that wasn't going to work because it didn't follow the USDA dietary guidelines, and we had to present the full spectrum of the recommendations. But boy, were the classes popular. We had a great time. I was teaching an Eat for a Healthy Lifestyle class, but they would not let it go. We tested the vegan and vegetarian. It was wildly popular, but they saw how popular it was and decided they wanted the meat and everything back in the class again. So what I did was I started a donation-based program. There was I think they were almost whole food plant-based. Anyone been to Casa de Luz in BJ, is it all whole food plant-based?
Yes.
Casa de Luz, it is.
Yes.
It's gluten-free. Okay. Well, they had an educational center upstairs, and I just threw these images together. I had so many more. It was so fun. I made so many friends. But I did a donation-based class, Vegan Test Kitchen Tuesdays upstairs until they closed. So what did I do? I went to the Art Institute, the Culinary Institute, and I was still looking for an opportunity to get a chef training program in plant-based foods. And here I found someone who was ready to hire me. He was interested, he wanted to move forward, but unfortunately, I did teach classes there. I taught vegan pastry and baking and all kinds of good stuff and got to speak to the students. But they went out of business, darn it. So there we go, another roadblock. And then I lost my friend, the head chef, the dean of culinary arts, passed away of a heart attack, unfortunately. But that was a real close one. And they had a fashion design program at this school and a digital media design. And I had this concept for a vegan fashion show and food fair that I wanted to do so badly, and presented a paper to the school to do it, but I ended up doing it later in high school. So after the Art Institute, I went to the libraries, and it was about 2013, and our public schools were getting into Meatless Mondays. They started a Meatless Mondays program. So I went to my head librarian and I said, why don't we think about supporting our school district and offer some family cooking classes? And I've been doing this for almost 10 years now, with the pause for COVID that lasted almost 3 years before we got them going again. But it's really fun and exciting. The library had a kitchen. It's my local library. I went in and I got the programs going. And you can see here some of the classes that are coming up. They fill up. We get lots and lots of people. These are just a few of the classes I have coming up this spring. Then along the way, I also found funding pre-COVID for high school cooking classes. I hosted about a dozen high school vegan cooking clubs, and it was just phenomenal to see how this generation is so ready for change and embraced it and loved it. So I am kind of a products person. I do like the transitional foods. I think whole food plant-based is fabulous, but I also think that there's a place for these other food products right now as we try to get the world to wean itself off of animal products. Along the way, I've done lots of programs with my grandson. Preschool cooking classes. I was getting emails with all kinds of recipes for meat from my local grocer, and I was sending emails back saying, here are meat alternative ideas, and I would send funny vegan memes, and my grocer called me and said, come on into the office, let's talk. And I ended up writing a weekly recipe and developed about 200 vegan recipes for the website at my local grocery store up here. And you see, all these things are things that we can do ourselves just by taking initiative. Go visit your local grocer, find a way to share some recipes, go to your libraries and ask for a program. If you can't lead it or teach it, maybe they can find someone who can. Then the elementary school, but right before COVID hit, my grandson was in kindergarten, and I started a concept for a tofu book called Tofu, the Ancient Superfood. And I was going to go to each class and put together a recipe representing each class and turn it into a cookbook for the school. But that didn't happen. I ended up working on it and expanded it into a whole other project that's coming up. So I've had lots of opportunities to get in and share with the kids, and that little concept for a tofu book has turned into a big project that I'm excited to share with culinary schools and tofu makers. And I'm even going to get a call from Jane Velez Mitchell this week about doing some culinary demos for her on TikTok and share them with the Million Vegan Grandmothers as well. So that's what I've been doing here in San Diego, sharing love of plant-based foods with the community through plant-based foods education.
Thank you so much, Liz.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Dr. Akil, would you like to share our token grandfather? Sailesh, We're giving him a break today. Oh, needs to be unmuted. There we go.
You asked me, Tammy, to give a short talk on heart disease, right? So we'll go on to that, but first I would like to thank you for those two lovely poems. And I agree with you that we need to take more water because it keeps the blood thin and it helps in atherosclerosis and heart disease. See, I tell my patients, think of a swimming pool with water. You can easily swim there. Now take out the water and fill it with honey. It's so difficult you would not be able to swim. Similarly, with all the gooey stuff in our blood, the heart has to work much harder. And this causes the blood pressure as well as atherosclerosis, plaques. So I agree, and especially older people like me, our thirst centers don't work that well. So I keep an alarm every 2 hours to have water. So I believe that is extremely important. Now, as you can see from my picture, the back says heart disease, heart. So I am, till the age of 61, I was a creator of my own unhealthy lifestyle. So eating foods without worrying about what effect it would have on me, I ate everything at sight. I had no exercise and really bad genetics. So all this led to a kind of stress by which I had to undergo stents and bypass surgery. And then I transformed my life. And that is when I wrote the book of how I transformed with the whole food plant-based diet and what it did to me. There are two instances when I had a close encounter to death. One was as they were putting stents in me, I had a cardiac arrest. And so the brilliant cardiologist saved me that day. But guess what? 2 years after that, that cardiologist died on the treadmill, having a massive heart attack. He was only 46 years old. And the second encounter I had was I had 2 perforations in my colon because of severe diverticulitis. And the second time, the surgeon, a friend of mine, who stood over me and told me, Akhil, if I do not take you to surgery right now, you may not survive. So these encounters makes you grateful, a second chance in life. And so I am thinking of spreading this word because heart disease is the leading cause of death in the US and worldwide from both men and women, killing more people than all the cancers combined. But do you know that the number one killer of heart disease is a standard American diet? A diet that is eggs and dairy and meat full of saturated fat, cholesterol, processed foods, sugar and salt. 1 person dies every 34 seconds in this country of a heart attack. And remember, when you get a heart attack, 50% of the time, you do not survive. You die with that heart attack. So unlike cancers and all that, and I'm not belittling cancer, they've done great. But what I'm saying is you don't have a chance to say your goodbyes, to finish what you've done. So let's all get on the wagon to try and what you heard today, I would love you to spread this around. And let's talk a little bit about our heart. Let me just make you understand. A heart is the size of a fist, right? It beats 100,000 times a day, pumping 2 gallons of blood oxygenated blood to every tissue and every organ in your body through 50 million miles of arteries. So if you look at a 75-year-old person like me, I'm 75, and if you look at me, my heart has already beaten more than 2.5 billion times. So if the heart is doing so much for us, don't you think we should do something for the heart? This lovely little jewel that we have in our chest cavity. So what do? We have the coronary arteries. It's a coronation. They crown the heart. But the thing about the coronary arteries is that the inner lining produces nitric oxide as substance, which is so powerful in keeping our arteries dilated, keeping the blood flowing smoothly, and protects the arterial wall so that it does not become it does not become thick so that we get high blood pressure. So, but what happens if you start eating this unhealthy diet that I talked about with all the saturated fats and all that? You destroy the endothelium, the inner lining. The nitric oxide is not there anymore. So what happens? There are culprits waiting in the shadow. These are your cholesterol, your fibrin, your calcium. They come in a big force and start forming plaques, the gooey stuff that they form. These are the plaques that then block your arteries, and then either you get an angina where you get chest pain on exertion, or you get a heart attack. So to protect your coronaries, which is very important, because remember, heart disease is the leading cause of death. There is no, even during the height of COVID, heart disease was the number one killer. Number two was COVID. So what my point is that to protect your heart, do the thing that I did. I did not go on whole food plant-based diet immediately. I took baby steps. I could not do it. I was too seasoned to be a bad eater. To unseason myself, I had to go step. And I'm not asking people to follow my roadmap. Yes, because I am an endurance athlete, I'm a heart disease survivor, and I've done lots of things. I've done marathons and 100-mile bike rides and climbed Mount Kilimanjaro after my bypass surgery, not before. On what? On a plant-based protein. But they say, oh no, you can't do it. You can do it. I did it at the age of 66, I climbed Mount Kilimanjaro. So anybody can do it. So what you do is, first of all, you go to a market. First of all, get a whole food plant-based diet. And Tammy has talked wonders about the whole food plant-based diet of fruits and vegetables and nuts and seeds and whole grains. But when you go to a supermarket, read the labels. If you can't pronounce something, don't eat it. That's number one. Increase the fiber in your diet. Fiber lowers the cholesterol. Fiber prevents constipation and the diseases of constipation, which I had, perforated diverticulitis, thrombotic piles, fissures. This can be prevented. And one more thing, gut bacteria that Tammy talked about, love these, So what my point is that fiber is loved by the gut bacteria. So the point I'm making is that average American has 15 grams of fiber. You're supposed to have, according to the American Heart Association, 38 grams. I say no, have 70 grams, 80 grams. When I am on a whole food plant-based diet, my diverticulitis, twice perforated, is in the back burner. I have no problems at all. I don't know tomorrow, but today, right now, I have no problems regarding my gut or my heart. So the thing is that increase your fiber in any form, prebiotics, probiotics, especially prebiotics, what Tammy talked about. Increase your spices, turmeric, ginger, garlic, cardamom, cinnamon. These are all antioxidants and anti-inflammatory. Cut back on your sugar and salt. Do you know how much a individual has sugar? American has, both like us, 17 teaspoonfuls of sugar a day, processed, and 200. I think it was. Let me say, 2.5 grams of salt a day. I'm sorry, 3.5 grams. And the American Heart Association says 2.5 grams. I say 1 to 1.5 grams of salt. You have to make a beginning somewhere. So enough said about the food, because Tammy has covered that. So we go next step, exercise. Every doctor should have prescription exercise, no matter you are bedridden or not. You can do exercises in the bed. Now, when you say exercise for a normal person, I believe that you should do at least 30 minutes of moderate intensity exercise 5 times a week. And then sit on your couch and do nothing. No! You have to get up and move, even if you are on your desk. Get up. You saw how many times I got up and moved, even when we were sitting over here? I don't know if you'll notice. And how many times I had the water? I do it. Preach what you practice. So then comes the question, is the exercise, in the long run, it decreases your heart rate, it helps your blood pressure, and you can do wonderful things. Again, for older people, just not aerobic exercises, muscle strengthening exercises, flexibility, and balance exercises. The biggest problems is falls and hip fractures in this country. Billions of dollars are spent on that. All you do need is a balance. You know, a patient of mine gave me a great idea. As long as, Dr. Taher, as long as you can tie your shoelaces standing up, your balance is good. Wow, that makes sense. And thereby exercise goes. Now sleep. Sleep is a biological necessity that does wonders. Sleep is not the absence of wakefulness. There are millions of things happening in sleep. Your deep sleep, which is your non-REM sleep, rapid eye movement sleep, and your rapid eye movement sleep, the dream sleep, both are equally important. I won't go into the depth of it, we don't have time, but I will tell you a global experiment to show how important lack of sleep is. Give me
Dr. Taher, could you wind it up after this one? It's just that we have a bunch more grandmothers to share and we only have 1 hour.
I am so sorry.
No, that's fine. And I interviewed you on the podcast on the Million Vegan Grandmothers. So
I'm sorry, you told me 8 minutes, but I always get carried away. It's not.
It's okay.
It's my age. So anyway, let me tell you this global experiment and then we wind it up. To show how important lack of sleep can be on cardiovascular system. It's a global experiment done every year, which is 1.2 billion people in 70 countries. You and I may be participants in that. And what is that? Daylight saving time. Now hear this. In spring, you lose an hour, right? What they found is the next day, there were 24% increase in heart attack the next day. And then you go into spring and autumn, when you save an hour, and there were 21% reduced heart attacks the next day. Incredible. Can you beat that? So with that, I end this thing. I hope you people have enjoyed. Please pass the message around. Thank you so very much.
Do you have your book? Could you just hold up your book and tell everyone the name of your book?
My book is Open Heart. a lot of people believe that COVID was bad. Of course it was, but to me it was a blessing in disguise. I don't know if you can see it or not.
Yeah, it's
Maybe
kind of
we
going
can
in
have
and out, but it's called Open Heart, and that's the picture of it. Thank you so much.
Akilta. Thank you so very much,
you.
everybody.
Thank you. Thank you. Reverend Beth Love, would you share? Is she unmuted? There we go.
Yeah, so Tammy asked me to share about two things about this idea of healthy me, healthy planet, and about my work. And I already, shared for about an hour, so check the video if you didn't get to see it. Really more on the topic of healthy me, healthy planet. And all I'll add here is that there's only one of us here, like even on an anatomical level, we are made out of this earth. And we are one with this earth and all of life. And if we think that we can have one healthy and not the other, we're splitting ourselves against ourselves, which is spiritually impossible. In terms of my work, I want to just share that that for most of my life, my focus has been the children of the world. Hold on, I just passed my husband a note, and I seem to, maybe I lost it. Baby doll, can you get my book off the piano? Copy of my book off the piano.
His name is Golden Love, by the way.
Yes, it's not Baby Doll, it's Golden Love, yes. So for most of my life, I've really focused on the children of the world. From the time I was a little kid, I knew that we could make the world a better place, a more peaceful place, a more collaborative place, if we were able to do better by our children. And so my whole career focused on the children of the world, teaching Montessori, running Montessori schools from the time I was in my early 20s, running two agencies that dealt with the topic of child abuse, co-founding a ministry, and particularly focusing on the children and the family and helping adult learners in and out of locked institutions heal their childhood wounds, and really had a very fulfilling career doing these things. But then had a major wake-up call in 2015 when I realized that it really didn't matter anything that I had done if we didn't have a habitable world where our children could live. And when I think of myself as a grandmother, I'm a grandmother to all the children. I mean, we have some children in our family, some grandchildren, but it's really the children of the world that I'm concerned about. They're all mine, and I want them to have a place to live. So I quit my job and I started teaching people how to eat plants, because I knew something that most people don't know, which is that it's not going to be sufficient to change our energy systems and our fuels. We must move to a more plant-centric diet, if not all the way to vegan. And so I just started teaching people, and ultimately out of that, Eat for the Earth was born. It's a nonprofit organization that's based in Santa Cruz, California. Our mission is to make it easier for people to eat more plants and less animal products to sustain all life on Earth. Our vision is of Santa Cruz County as a model of sustainable eating, and by sustainable eating, we mean plants. And because there is really no sustainable way to eat animal products that will also feed the world within the boundaries of a habitable planet. And the other part of our vision is really being major contributors to the broader movement worldwide, which is why we love to be involved with organizations such as Climate Healers that are doing such great work. And we have many other similar affiliations. I'll just share a little bit about what we do. A couple of things I'm really inspired about right now. One is that we're doing our best to educate the broad community in a number of ways. We have a three-part, we call it our secret formula, which is that we give them compelling information about the reasons to go all the way to plant-based or as far as they'll go. And we back those compelling reasons up with really tasty food, because most people are not going to do it if the food doesn't taste good. Many studies have shown that the primary conscious driver of people's food choice is how the food tastes. Of course, there's all the other stuff, food industry machinations and so forth, but it has to taste good. So we give them really tasty food and compelling information, and then we back that up further by giving people the practical skills through cooking classes, recipes, things like that. We also like to do bigger events that get kind of the whole community, more visibility in the community, which is one of the reasons we're bringing Dr. Michael Greger to Santa Cruz this coming Saturday to talk about his book, How Not to Age. We started a program in 2022 in December We actually did a pilot in April where we learned a lot and didn't do very much good, but we learned so much. We were able to get funding for it. It's a diet immersion program. We target the Latino community countywide. In our county, that's the population, the largest population that has disproportionate rates of diet-caused diseases because of racism in the food industry and NAFTA and so many other compounding factors that put people at risk. Working 6 days a week, 12 hours a day, situating lots of fast food restaurants in their neighborhoods, but not many supermarkets, et cetera. So we've been extremely successful. We did get funding from the County of Santa Cruz and the City of Santa Cruz, a 3-year contract to serve this population. We just finished our 11th round. It's a very short immersion in 2 weeks. People are releasing their diabetes. They're going from super high LDL cholesterol, total cholesterol, blood pressure down to very healthy levels, in many cases getting off their medication. We do testing at the beginning and the end. We brought the testing in-house. We bought our own equipment because most of these people do not have insurance, or if they do, it's not going to pay for 2 tests in 2 weeks. And we give them breakfast after they get tested because they're fasted, and then we give them education the whole time. And it's been going really, really well. We're having phenomenal results. I'm super excited about that. One of the reasons we were attracted to the program was we thought we're mostly getting referrals from healthcare providers, primarily one clinic that serves this population, but also through some other healthcare providers. And we really thought that this would be a way to create systems change by giving a model to physicians of another way, because they don't know. They come through medical school. They don't get nutrition. They get, here's the pills you push and here's the procedures you do. And so we thought we'll give them a model of another way. But because we're not connected enough with the doctors that are doing referrals, we're mostly connected with the administrative personnel, health coaches, et cetera. We don't know what's happening. So we decided we're going to make it really obvious. And we're planning for October 20th, a Food as Medicine conference geared toward healthcare providers in our community. We have Dr. Michael Clapper coming. We have some other big names we're speaking to, as well as some local providers. And then finally, I'll say we were able to present at the American College of Lifestyle Medicine conference in Denver about our program. And I feel really inspired by this program. We intend to do a study. We want to really demonstrate what's possible. So we want to publish. And we're also making a movie. Dolly Vias-Ahuja is one of our consultants on our movie project. And we're moving forward. So many people, I mean, raise your hand if you have been touched by one of these plant-based movies and maybe it's changed your life. And I mean, yeah, seriously, there's never been one made in Spanish, focusing, most of our rounds are in Spanish, by the way, focusing on Latino culture and food. And in the Western Hemisphere, that's a very significant population. So we're in the process of making a documentary movie, and would love anybody's support or collaboration on that. Thank you very much, Tammy, and all the grandmothers. Really appreciate all of you.
Reverend Beth Love, I've known you for a few years now, and you are a powerhouse. Thank you so much for your work, as all the grandmothers here. It's just a gift. I think we're going to go over into open mic a little wee bit. We're going to try to wrap it up as close to 5 as possible, but 5 by time, as close to the end as possible. Allison, would you share?
Just one.
Yes. Oh, sorry, you're muted.
I am but your mirror. Okay.
Okay, so yeah, speaking of the Spanish-speaking community, I live in Lima, Peru. I've been here since 1984, and I'm working with community kitchens in Peru. And Peru is notorious for having more community kitchens than any other country in the world, and that's despite the fact that Peru is the size of Texas, with a population similar to that of Texas. So we have over 13,000 community kitchens in Peru. So when Food Healers Day came about, rather than start another community kitchen, which would be crazy being a foreigner in Peru, I went to work with the group called Ollas Comunes Veganas, which is a group that is dedicated to helping Peru's community kitchens transition from its meat-based meals to plant-based meals. And interestingly enough, Lisa and I became very close friends in the process of going through this time of World Food Healers Day because she arrived in Peru just a little over a year ago and spent 3.5 months with me working in these community kitchens. And although these community kitchens may not be what you're thinking of, and when you think of a community kitchen, because they're, typically they don't have running water, they don't have refrigeration, they don't have any drainage. So sanitation is an issue and a perfect opening for using soy substitutes. So what I want to tell you about is that what we're doing here in Peru is working with people who are already preparing food. We're not starting new community kitchens. We're working with these kitchens that already exist. So if you think of where you live, it might be the cafeteria where you work. It might be a clinic. It might be a shelter. It might be a public school. It might be a hospital. A community kitchen, a nursing home is a kitchen where large numbers of people eat together. So just think of the advantage that I have working in Peru, because each one of these kitchens serves 100 to 150 meals per day. And imagine each one of those kitchens is saving, when they go plant-based, they're saving several animals in every single meal. So when we work with the community kitchen, we're not dealing with helping our next door neighbor, which is one person, to go vegan. When we work with a community kitchen, we're helping as many as hundreds of people in each kitchen to go vegan. Again, it might be your workplace, your cafeteria at work. It might be a nearby nursing home. This morning you met Sarita Puri, who is one of the foundational people for Global Plant Kitchens in the UK. And they began working and supporting us here in Peru about 8 months ago. That's a resource I'll put in the chat, because if you have an inclination to work with a community kitchen in your area, that is a tremendous free resource that you can count on to help you work through some of the glitches. But the advantage is not only are you saving many animals, not just a portion of an animal when you cook one meal, you're saving several animals with each meal. You are educating large numbers of people. You're serving more economical meals. And you're having a lot of fun. So like I mentioned earlier, Lisa and I became practically best friends in those 3 months working in these community kitchens. So don't forget the fun element. We are not cooking the meals ourselves. The community kitchen cooks the meals. So what we're helping them to do is to learn how to make what they love to cook and make it vegan or plant-based. So in other words, we are substituting soy in 9 different presentations. Depending on the dish that they want to prepare, we're helping them to substitute with one of these 9 different types of soy. So I wanted to plant that seed with you because maybe you think of a community kitchen in a certain way and you're not thinking in the broadest sense. So I want to invite you to open your mind and think of community kitchens in a more ample way. Because the work that I'm doing here in Peru is helping large numbers of people to become plant-based. I'll put a couple of links in the chat, and I'll also encourage you, if you want to learn more from me, I'd be very happy to be in touch with you. So I'll put 3 resources in the chat. 2 of them are in Spanish, 1 will be in English, and then I'll give you a way to contact me. So, Lisa, is there anything I should add? Oh, you're muted.
Can we unmute Lisa? Okay.
No, I mean, for me, it was also working with, the young activists that made animal rights their focus. And that's what sort of that's what changed me really, was their dedication, and for me to begin to think about being vegan from that perspective. They were a tour de force in the most beautiful, unassuming, dedicated, and gentle way. It was just, it was life-changing to be in their company. Don't you think, Allison?
Absolutely, yes. Yeah, the passion and the commitment. Yeah. So don't be afraid in your area to reach out to other vegans who want to do something together with you. You'll create bonds and friendships that will last a lifetime. You'll have a lot of fun and you'll make a big difference.
Great. Yeah.
Thank you, Allison. Is there anything else you'd like to share, Lisa, today?
I don't have to take too much time. I just my journey still feels very fresh and new, and it's very much based on my friendship with Allison and also the opportunity to work in Peru, and to actually be privy to the level of poverty that we were working in. It somehow, in a very sort of dichotomic way, settled something in me, because people were still sharing and taking care of them, taking care of each other. And so there was no desperation whatsoever. There was just the deepest poverty that you could conjure up in your mind, So that really changed me. And I came back from there. Now it was in March of last year. And I was scared because I was fired up. And I am not somebody who necessarily, sees myself as somebody to speak up. And I like to be liked, And so I had to confront that. I actually found the funds for a therapist to work through this with me. And because I got my friend Brahm Ort and then his spouse Binika involved in Climate Healers, and I introduced Dr. Rao to them. And Brahm was retired from being a climate scientist, but it put such a fire under him to see the new research on it. And also he was somebody who went also into being a sculptor and doing cranial sacral work. So he's working with the body, and also these are folks that I know from the Mindfulness Practice Center that I have been attending since the late 1990s, and same with them. So they were old practitioners, of followers of the work of Thich Nhat Hanh. And one of the other things that I had to confront at that time was that I had been playing mind games with myself. There is, in all the literature, the mindfulness trainings are about ceasing killing, and of any kind. And Thich Nhat Hanh was an environmentalist, brilliant, left no stone unturned in terms of applying these teachings to the greater practical world. And yet I still was letting, just laziness noodle around in my brain. And so seeing the movies just opened up something in me that I just sort of got it. This can't last another moment. So when I came back, I focused mostly on letter writing. I love to write letters, especially if they are a little bit what's the word? If I'm trying to get some sort of big point across, and I've had to learn to not be too passionate, too finger pointy, whatever. And I ended up writing quite a few of them for the Million Vegan Grandmothers, and I still really love to do them. But it was a way that I could buckle down and learn, what you need to know to be to have some credence, in the letters. So that was a really good way to start. And from there, I worked with a young woman who was a student, and we did the mayor project, and we wrote letters. She constructed a letter that was excellent, and we wrote to the 100 mayors. We called it the Mayor Project, and it was an internship for her summer. And that all came naturally. It was literally just something that was very based on an off-the-cuff kind of conversation. So I guess, I don't want to take too much time here. I won't go into anything really much more other than I am doing talks now. I just yesterday did the second one at a library in Woodstock, Vermont. And, there's maybe 25 people there. We have a great PowerPoint now on my version of the talk following Dr. Ort's on climate science is non-human animal liberation and a new vegan ethos. So I sort of got into that, and then Bianca did the health aspects. So we've got this little trio going, and so far it's been a very natural progression. I work on my, insecurity stuff on the side, and I make myself go and use all of the techniques I can find, and to buoy myself up or whatever. And of course, we all understand shadow. This is what I want to be doing. I want to be in front of people. I want to be talking off the cuff. I want to be, wagging my finger that's skillful enough so that, I can be heard, right? So because my convictions are very, very deep. And so it's all really quite amazing. I definitely pray every morning for guidance and, for me to be a vehicle. And I promise, the higher power that, I will continue to show up and get away from my own, my own fears. It's been a true gift to be in alignment with my values and to be able to articulate them and have the container of the Million Vegan Grandmothers, climate healers, and all of these new, all of the new science. And I love science. One more thing, and then I really will go. But it's been dropped as a possibility that our group, and possibly will end up being possibly just me, but that we do an Osher course at Dartmouth, which is their adult learning. So I would just love that. I would love that feather in my cap, because it would be kind of a who'da thunk it thing. So that's, those are the kinds of things that start to happen when you work through your shit and show up. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Lisa. And I recognize that we're going into open mic, but we would love you to just take it away for us, Deborah, and share a little bit.
That was so great. I want to say, I thank you. I too want to be liked. And as the oldest child in a loving but alcoholic family, it was my job to make sure that everybody liked everybody else, no matter what was going on. And that does interesting things in your brain. But I wanted to say quickly to Rebecca that religion is almost always late to the moral frontier because it's ancient and it's encrusted in dogma. And except for the Eastern ones, and fascinating book, Norm Phelps, very old book, The Longest Struggle. The concept of ahimsa traveled along the trade routes from India, from the renouncers who rebelled against the priests in their my way or the highway thing, along the trade route to the Middle East, where it purported and probably affected the later Hebrew prophets. So they were later less hellfire and brimstone and more loving, and then laid the pathway open for Jesus. So that's one of his, I thought that was very interesting. And I wanted to say to Liz and Allison that I cooked for 4 young men and men for many, many years, and I don't want to ever cook anything again unless I can do it with other people. I would love to cook in a community kitchen, and I want Liz to give me marching orders to go back to Pali High where I taught and get the vegan thing going there again. And if she tells me this is the way it's going to go, I'm there. Wanted to tell the doctor, I know he's gone, that I'm almost 75 and I'm still taking technical dance classes with 20-year-olds. And I am so grateful. And so it gives me so much joy. And as a dancer in a class, there are times when you can't tell yourself, the dancer, from the dance. You go into an amazing flow state. So yeah, I think I need to do even more classes because it's something that always keeps me head above the water, but enjoying all the water around me. And listening to all this stuff on health, I hope Jim, my husband, will talk briefly very quickly about something about cognitive reserve and something amazing that happened because of his vegan diet. But Tolstoy said, as long as there are slaughterhouses, there will be battlefields. He said that other lovely thing that the sage people use, don't turn your back on another's pain. And Franz Kafka said, looking at an aquarium, that was then, I can look at you in peace, to the fish, because I no longer eat you. But I think that when we deeply get that protection and connection is always better than domination and exploitation, the laboratory for that is with animals. And when we really get that, there is an inrushing sense of connection, which Jim wrote about, because Jim is very secular and very politically active. But he had a spiritual, religious revelation 2 weeks after we went pretty much completely vegan. And it's an amazing thing. Yeah. And in terms of what we do, we're involved in lots of organizations. We saw Marielle today at the protest at the zoo to free Billy, the elephant who's been there in an elephant jail for 35 years in solitary. Marielle was there. It was lovely to see her. We have tended to emphasize, well, I do, education. We have a website called Teach with Movies that we started when our middle son was 7. And we started initially for parents to discuss things because I was a dancer and my son was playing baseball. He watches Strictly Ballroom 3 times, talks to me about it, and then comes up to me and says, Mom, I think I could be a flamenco dancer. Pretty powerful, you know, and it turned out he was phenomenal until middle school pressure got to him. But we created this website for parents, and Jim had also gone and gotten Gandhi out of Blockbuster, if you remember Blockbuster, and said, yes, this is where Martin Luther King got some of his ideas from Gandhi. And we heard Alex 2 days later from the back seat, what was a guy from India doing in South Africa? So it started a conversation. And since kids like to watch movies many times, the conversations about, and we showed him Dr. Strangelove about the Cold War. So at one point we realized we're going to check and see, are parents using this website? It's mostly teachers. We decided to go back to school and get credentialed. And I taught at Palisades High School, our local high school, for a while, taught English. And then we went to a Q&A with the film Everyday Vegan Stories. And the director said, oh, and Genesis, who's in our film, by the way, she was Cesar Chavez's great grandniece. What? We have to tell this story. Was this genetic? You know, because she's a very charismatic, now she's 17, but a very charismatic young activist. And we made the film and created our learning guide, because we have a learning guide for each film. There are over 450 films, links to reading, discussions, class projects. And I don't know, wait, I can't share my screen. No, here I am. One of the most useful things that I think that came out of that when I taught this in classes was doing a graphic. I'm sorry if you can't see it. My universe of moral concerns and moral inclusion. And so all the kids, we had them graph, you know, who do you care about most and least in terms of how you're going to behave? We had them graph several notorious people, but first of all, we had them do, this is my moral universe. I guess I'm at the center of it. Then in the next circle outward is family. Then is it ethnicity? Is it religion? Is it race? Then my pets. Then finally, country men and women, occupation. Who do you know, what in terms of your efforts to reform things, to make things better, where are you going to put most of that effort? And we said, you know, Cesar Chavez, you know what he did? He just collapsed all of them. And not many people know it. He fought for gay rights, for respect for women in the fields and in the office. And then in the 90s, he was Gandhian. He said, you know, there was a contract out on his life that the growers had put out on him. And he said, I'm a Gandhian, no guns, no bodyguards. And they said, okay, we're going to get you a dog. So they got him a German Shepherd named Boycott. And sometimes Boycott would look a little askance at photographers with their cameras getting closer. But then they got him another one, Huelga, strike. So he had Huelga and Boycott. And he became a vegan in the 90s. He said, because I saw through Boycott that animals feel and have the same things we have. You know, Darwin said the same thing, but all the other scientists were ignoring them for a while. That it's the same root of feeling, you know, in reaction to the world. And so we got a wonderful film where Genesis went up to La Paz, to Cesar's community in Central California, and talked to the people who knew him. And what our director did that I love, and it's still something I think about today, and I thought about it with Joaquin Phoenix in his Oscar speech when he talked about dairy cows, and he said, some people see this as a big difference. I see commonality. We're all working towards justice, love, and compassion. And where was I going with that, Jim? Wake up, Jim. It's your turn. It's your turn. And we are now, sorry, I lost the thread on that one. We're now, I have the intellectual property rights to an extraordinary novel that I think Paul and Tammy are reading. About a whale, a sperm whale, who's trying to save his family from the traumatized new leader of the pod who had seen his family killed in his sinking ships, Moby Dick. And he's also listening to the sounds coming. He's wondering, he's on a quest for peace with humans because there's been a cetacean prophecy that one day men and cetacea will swim in peace, humans and cetacea. And he's getting these sounds that he's hearing, these pings from a disabled Soviet submarine off New York. And the sonar officer is a failed musician and is listening. He's trying to write a symphony for humpback whales, and then he hears the sperm, and they're drawn together as the crisis on the submarine worsens. And it's a very, it's an amazingly affecting novel. And I hope that the literary agent who's now reading it wants to make it into a movie.
Thank you so much, Deborah. And Deborah,
Does Jim have a minute?
Open mic.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We're going to open up open mic, and maybe Jim could start. I just want to say to everyone, I know there was questions in the chat. Hi, Jim. Maybe you could start with open mic. Maybe we can bring everybody up who would like to speak. Thank you, everyone, for your patience, and thank you, grandmothers, for sharing. There's just so much to share that the grandmothers are doing, and you can find us on climatehealers.org. We have meetings every week, the grandmothers. So most of us are meeting online, and some of the grandmothers that live close to each other are meeting in person, doing work together, like Lisa joining Allison in Peru for 3.5 months and it changing her life. So thank you, everyone. I know we're now entering open mic, and I'm wondering if it would be okay if Jim could start the share. And thank you, everyone, for letting us go over into open mic. Really appreciate it.
Hi,
Certainly.
I'm Debbie's husband, and I just want to say that it's just wonderful to listen to you guys. Everyone is doing so much wonderful work. It's just so inspiring. It's really fabulous. And so very briefly, I became a vegan for the animals, not for health, not for the environment, the animals. We've been vegan for almost 19 years now. And I have an illness called central sleep apnea, which means it's different than most people have sleep apnea when their throat collapses. My brain, when I sleep, does not tell me to breathe. My oxygen levels were getting down before I got diagnosed, or when I got diagnosed, they were getting down to 62%, which is brain damage. And I have a lot of brain damage. And when they do this scope, and the doctor, when I first met the doctor, he said, I don't know why you're still talking to me with 62% oxygenation. You should be, dead. You should be, not speaking. he said, it must be, I'm a lawyer, so it must be because you have a very active intellectual life because you do teach with movies and you're a lawyer and stuff. And then about 3 months ago, Debbie pointed me to some studies that show that people on a vegan diet have more of what they call cognitive reserve, which means that if you have brain damage in one area, you make up for it in other areas and don't show symptoms. And they got this when they figured this out when they were doing cadaver research and they were cutting people's heads open, and they would find people with full-blown Alzheimer's who had no symptoms. Why did they have no symptoms? Turns out there's a lot of vegan diets in there. So I presented this to my doctor, and he now believes that my life was saved by my diet, which is just phenomenal because I've had a really wonderful 7 years, and it's just really very fortunate, and I feel blessed. That's it.
That was awesome. Thank you, Jim. Watch.
Now we need to get somebody else is going.
Yeah, Watch has his hand up.
Oh, great. Thanks, Dr. Rao. Thanks for organizing this. Really appreciate your leadership and others who are helping organize this. I just wanted to mention that in any social justice movement, there needs to be a way for a healthy dissent. And also the leadership needs to think through things when directing the followers in this movement. The case I'm trying to make is I participated in food healers. I think somebody has their mic open, so if you can just mute your mic. I participated in food healers movement and prepared some food and tried to distribute it, downtown. And I was accosted by a cop as to what I was doing, and he mentioned that I should have a license to donate this food, and he explained this perspective. He was pretty nice. He said usually he would write me a ticket, but he did not, and I told him that I'm part of the food healers and this is free of cost donation of food. And I think when we are directing people to do a particular thing to promote veganism, let's say distributing food, we need to think through things. There are local regulations which if we don't follow, then we could be written up, arrested. And once you have an arrest record, and in this hyper-connected environment where HR is required, human resources is required to do a background check, and if they find an arrest record and they have 300 other applicants, you are obviously going to be thrown out of the pile. So it is a huge cost that we're asking folks to take this risk. And if we don't think through things, we are going to hamper our social justice movement. As such, we have very few people to begin with in this movement. And B, if we don't think through things, and if we don't warn them that this could happen, or this is the background work they need to do, then in their enthusiasm and in gung-ho-ness, which the group is inspiring, then if we do something and we get arrested. And same problem I had with the DXC, which is of course another group, with their open rescue movement. And a lot of such people, a lot of such organizations or leadership have got enough money or legal power to defend themselves, but any Tom, Dick, and Harry get enthused by the open rescue movements, rescue something they're seeing at a farmer's market, and they get arrested. And now you have a huge problem on their hand, because now the movement washes away their hands and saying, okay, this was just a guidance, but now the activist has been accosted with a civil citation, and then they have to defend themselves in the court, which involves legal cost, trauma, and also, subsequently, if human resources find an arrest record, then they're thrown out of their job. So we need to have these healthy debates And the leadership needs to have this responsibility of thinking through things when what they're asking people to do, and definitely follow science. Because at times I feel that a lot of emotions are used to inspire people for a particular action, but science needs to come on top of it. So what is the evidence behind giving free food and people turning into vegans? There has to be a science based upon it. Is there any research studies which authenticate? And I'm okay for doing charity. I have donated a lot of food to food pantry and also to homeless food shelters. But when we become a one-to-one source of giving away food, then there's a higher responsibility of ensuring that the food doesn't make people risk, and that is the reason why we have regulation. So we need to have science behind when we are trying to advance the social justice movement, and each one of us has responsibility to follow science, right? What is the evidence behind just giving away free food and people turning vegans? I personally have not found it, and I know there are many people who are gung-ho about it and had multiple discussions, and subsequently they do have now the literature or giving away people pamphlets and saying that, hey, this is vegan food and this is how you can prepare it, or asking people to have something in return or to give it a try and try vegan food instead of consuming animal slaughter products. So it's basically a give and take. We're giving some service away and then you're asking compassion and mercy for the animals in return. So that is the model which a couple of organizations like Challenge 22 follows, or certain other programs where they provide vegan food, but they have the understanding or the expectation that people do follow the vegan diet, try that food out. It's vegan. They show you how to prepare and cook it, but there is an expectation that you are going to embark on this journey of veganism, and thereby the animals are helped. So what I'm trying to say is that we need to have a leadership which thinks through things, and also we need to have leadership which needs to focus on science, basically having some evidence-based strategy where we are asking the followers to embark on a particular challenge, then there is science behind it, so that the people who are executing that action, that plan of action, do not get burnt out and also do not get hurt. Because I for one have not embarked on giving away food after I was accosted by a police officer. And there are certain people who are going to drop out of the vegan justice movement if they have a negative experience. So we need to think through things. And also, if we start promoting certain lines of action which do not have authenticity based, have science to back us, then people are going to write us off, write our movement off, right? In today's previous session, there was focusing on our facts, like getting our fact sheets correct and presenting our results in a full disclosure method, so that we don't just pick and choose things which advance our agenda and not mention some of the things which slight our agenda, because then people are going to look through us and going to discount our movement. So that's the points which I wanted to make. Again, irrespective of all the trolls and all the hardships I've faced for the last 10 years, I intend to forward the animal justice movement and be part of it, and also want the leadership to understand that they have my commitment, but at the same time, I also expect things to be thought through, have evidence behind it, and follow science in their dictum. So thanks.
Thank you for your input. Paige?
Okay. Hi. Pulling off the freeway. Hi everyone. Wow. Open mic. This is so amazing. I was thinking back. These virtual conferences started in 2020 out of a need to connect. And here we are in 2024. And I just think of the thousands of people that have been touched by these conferences. So kudos to the team, which I'm a part of. So thank you. This has been incredibly rewarding. I wanted to open mic moment, bring up composting, because I just went to a vegan restaurant and I saw all kinds of food scraps put in with to compost your food scraps out of the trash. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Happy to support you in creating a system that works for you and other staff. Yeah. You can't hear me at all?
I mean, it's so
okay.
We can hear you some, but it's so sketchy. Yeah. But you
Oh,
did say compost.
okay. All right. Compost. Love y'all. Reach out. Let's compost.
It's better then.
Anyone else? This is your time. Go ahead, Dakota.
Oh, just so letting everything sink in, still absorbing things, and but I just figured since it's quiet, I just want to say thanks to everybody who's presented today and yesterday, and really love all you grandmothers and grandfathers, and I'm been missing meetings myself for a while now because of work, but I just love all you guys and what you're doing. And Dr. Rao, just everything's been amazing today. I've just learned so much and yesterday too. And I'm real fired up about the plant-based treaty. I know that. And I can't wait to share that with people. That just was amazing. So yeah, I've already sent the letter to all my city council people, and one of them lives right next door. So I might actually get to see him and chat, and I'm looking forward to how that might pan out. And last, I'll just say, I want to start a little climate healers group, food healers here in Leavenworth. I do have one other vegan friend across the river that I met at the retreat in October, and she's on board. So we're talking about maybe starting to meet at the library or something, and at least just see what we can get going, even if it's just a couple of us. And we might collaborate. There's a group in town about 37 churches that they work at they started a homeless shelter. Sorry, my cat just knocked the lamp over. And so we have this shelter now, but they also do like monthly free meals. They're not vegan, of course, but so maybe we could get kind of involved with them and do a monthly meal, but have a vegan one, and just start sharing and showing people how good vegan food can be, and not expensive, all that. Anyway, that's all I got. Just glad to be here with you all.
Dakota, would you like to tell people what this box contains?
Oh, did you finally get it?
Yes.
Okay, well, all right. This is my little inner child, but well, I was inspired by Vega the cow. That's how I first. When I first was introduced to Climate Healers by Ken and Allison, I just immediately knew this is what I want to do. So anyway, but I love that short minute or two video that it was so powerful to me with the animation and the cow. And so anyway, and then I found this little stuffed animal in the store, and it is a little cow. And I just love it. But so to me, this is like Vega's cousin. And Allison said, well, "Why don't you call her Veguita?" I was looking for this. That's like the Spanish version of Vega. And then they had more in the store, and I'm like, I got to get one for Allison. And then I was like, oh, I could get one to BJ. people that I starting to know, and I was like, oh my God, Sailesh needs Vega needs her cousin to hang out with her, right? So anyway, I sent one package to Sailesh right before the Oxford Union debate. I was hoping to be there when he got home, but it never made it. So I got another package, and I thought, well, that's just as well, because I want to send one to Kamaya, and then there was this little elephant by it that I just thought was cool. Had lotus flowers on it and reminded me of India, and I just thought, well, Jane needs that. I don't even know Jane yet, but I like her, and just from what I feel of her energy, and so I just sent the second package, and I was just like keeping the tracking number this time, and I'm like, man, they lost it again. I'm gonna call that post office. I even got it written down in my notes for tomorrow. Phone calls I got to make. And I'm like, call post office. What is up with this package? And I was getting ready to say, well, I know the man gets mail there. How come he can't get a box? Anyway, I was gonna try to be nice. I'm so glad you got it.
Thank you so much. I mean, believe it or not, I got it today.
Awesome.
Just now. Janie came and gave it to me.
Oh, well, feel free to open it up.
Yeah, I will.
Thanks, you guys.
Liz?
If I find
first
more,
of
I'm going
all,
to send one to everybody.
Thanks.
I'm so grateful for all the inspiration and energy that I've been getting by participating. Thank you all so much for the friendships and everything. I'm encouraged and I'm also frightened. The world is changing so fast and I'm seeing climate change, the effects here in my neighborhood. But I'm also at the same time seeing children encouraged and ready for change. And we just have to continue to support all. Who was it, Jamie, the Logan gal? Whatever the style of vegan outreach that you have to offer, whatever it takes, one's not really better than the other. We need to just keep getting the message out there and help people transition over. And as a foods instructor, I do want to tell you that I hear Watch's concern about the food handling and the food sharing. You guys, I took my classes. I was encouraged to do these hands-on cooking classes with community, but I get so many people in my classes that I can't see everyone and know for sure that they're following proper food handling. And it's the general public. And I was losing sleep at night over this. I could turn my back and somebody could put something in the food. What if there's some anti-vegan who thinks it might be a stunt to pull, or somebody just is careless and gets germs mixed in, and then I'm liable for any problems that happen. So down to even community potlucks, we don't encourage community potlucks. Just if it's with friends, yes, but you don't want to advertise a general public, bring a dish, we're going to have a big old community potluck, because you just don't know if people have food handling skills and knowledge. So be careful with that. And if we can share prepared foods or share packaged foods, or find someone to donate something that's made in a commercial kitchen or use a commercial kitchen. But I think that food sampling is very critical to changing and getting people to go vegan. It's the biggest success I've seen in. It's just so exciting to be able to share foods education with people. Go do a demo. You guys are doing that with food healers, right? You cook it and then you bring it, or you could cook it there and do a demo and get people engaged and have them watch you prepare it. The food demo today was awesome. Take that out into public and show people how it's made. And then it's made right there on the spot and distribute it from there. But I could just ramble on. I'm not going to take up too much time because I am just so grateful for all of you. And let's keep it going. We can do this. Thank you.
Thank you, Liz. BJ?
Well, I was just going to add that, yes, I encourage the people that I work with the food healers, to get their license. So we have food handlers licenses. And then I used to be a food inspector. So that that seems to give people a little bit of encouragement. We haven't had any problems so far, but if you're in a place like where you are in Peru and they're used to having food and eating food, you can still. I'm wondering what your thoughts about that are. But when you have people that just need food, then just basic hand washing is important.
Yeah, I would say that's why I like working with community kitchens that already exist, because they're doing the cooking, and we're just educating them on how to transition to plant-based. So it takes some of the onus off needing licenses and all that. Although I don't think it's very difficult to get a food handler license. You know more about that than I do, but yeah. There are so many places where food is served to large numbers of people, and I think we can offer a class. We don't even have to prepare the food. We can just offer a class and meet with their staff, and even bring a trained vegan chef that we might know. So there are so many ways to keep out of trouble and make a big impact. That's what I have to say.
Yeah, when we started cooking in the commercial kitchen here for food healers, the person we were renting it from, who gave us the use of the kitchen, she asked us to go get a food handler's license. So we all had food handler's license. It costs like $10, and you have to take an exam and do it. But that's the prerequisite for cooking. And then, when someone came and asked, I said, yeah, we have a food handler's license, and they're doing it out of this commercial kitchen, and we're giving it away. And he left, the policeman. So
remember the great idea, the vegan food handlers idea.
I know we need a vegan, because the food handler's exam was all about meat.
Miserable course.
I know. It's all about how do you handle meat, how do you handle dairy. I'm not interested. Anyway, you're right. We need a vegan food handler's license. Yeah. Paige?
I pulled over now. I just wanted to thank everybody for coming together and collaborating the way that we are. And I feel that from this convergence, 16th one, that look around. We've had a lot of really amazing speakers and presentations and information exchange. And somebody here in this space is your next partner in a project, partner in plant. And, you might go through some personal things, which is kind of what happened for me over the past 6 months. And you drop out for a while, and then you come back in when you're ready. And what's beautiful is it's a community that's here working towards a vegan world, 2026, and a better planet, period, for our future generations. I will say that one more thing. I got a message from my daughter today asking about my 22-year-old daughter, who will be 23, graduating from college, undergrad, and then going to vet school in 2025. And she's my vegan reason. She went vegan at 13. But I got a message from her today that kind of took my breath away. She wanted information, medical info, so she could donate her eggs. And for some reason, that just kind of kicked me in the stomach. And she said to me, Mom, I know you have hope, but I really didn't think that our planet would go through the change that it's going through in my lifetime. So her plan is to adopt, which I have a lot of respect for. It's kind of unnerving, and yet coming to this huddle of a weekend gives me hope to just keep moving forward with actions for a future generation. So anyway, thanks for letting me share.
Thank you, Paige. Annie?
Hi, yes, thank you. I so love everything that you do. 16 of these beautiful gatherings are most incredible. I cannot say enough thank yous. And the way I describe when I tell people to join is if you want to get such enrichment that you can get from gathering around the world information that is to heal our environment, to heal our health, and to save the animals, which is all interconnected. Gotta join Climate Healers. Even if you can't tune in for the 2 days, it's a must, join in. And I am so grateful to each and every one of you. And I know you work so hard. I want to join in more and more. I do so many things. I want to spread myself thinner as best as I can to do even more. But I can't thank you all enough for being here, for putting this together, because I know it's a lot of work, a lot of meetings, a lot of extensive details. So much love to you all from me and Chanel. We thank you so very, very much and love you all. So I'm so grateful for each and every one of you, because you give me hope that the world will be vegan by 2026. Yay, Kamaya! Yay, Dr. Rao. We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it for Kamaya's promise. Yes, we will. Thank you.
Thank you, Annie.
Thank you. Much love.
Reverend Bethlev.
Yay!
I just wanted to tell a very brief, kind of slightly funny story about food handler certificates. Many years ago, when I was still working at a church, we wanted to have a food booth at a local festival. And so I called the county health department and I asked, could we get a permit? And they don't give permits for one-day events, but the health inspector employee gave me some information. One of the things he said was to get a food handler certificate and have at least one person in the booth to have it and more if possible. And he was telling me kind of some of the things to be concerned about and so forth. And at some point in the conversation, I just said, we're feeding vegan food. And he was like, oh, okay, don't worry about it.
Exactly. Yeah, because all the problems they're facing is with the use of handling of animals, and we were answering questions about animals in the food handler's license. I know.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Anyone else? Yeah, let me just explain a little bit about the basis for why I said food healers and why healthy food should be free. And it's not pulled out of thin air. It's based on science. The current system is based on subsidizing unhealthy food. So it makes unhealthy food cheaply available to every human being on the planet because they're trying to farm us. I mean, it's literally, if you think about it, there is it's a system that's all about growth, and 90% of the healthcare economy is based on chronic diseases. And so therefore, they're going to encourage those chronic diseases by encouraging the 8 unhealthy behaviors that causes chronic diseases, which begins with poor diet. So our children are being convinced to consume sugar right from the beginning. They're only fed dairy in school. You've seen all these things. I mean, this is what we've been talking about for the past 2 days, right? So how do you counter that? How do you counter that? And what should be the basis of a new system? The new system has to be based on health. It has to be based on the 5 H's. I've always talked about the 5 H's. And so that health, which means healthy food, should be freely available to every human being on the planet. Now, I also teach the Bhagavad Gita. And in the Bhagavad Gita, Lord, it's a dialogue between God and man. And at the end, God says to man, look, I gave you all this advice. but I cannot make you do anything. Okay? Because I love you so much that I've set you free even from me. And you're free to choose what you want to do. Okay? That's in the last chapter, the 18th chapter. And of course, man by that time, at least Arjuna, had listened to God and he said, I'm going to go along with you. Okay, now I'm on your side. This is exactly the kind of battle that's going on. Okay, so we have, it's a battle of, do you want to transform or not? And how do you want to do it? Is it through top-down direction, or is it going to be organic and more distributed? And that's my thing is it's going to be distributed. It's not going to be top-down. I can only say that, look, it looks like you have to have free food, healthy food for free. Can we implement it? Do we have are we going to wait for governments to implement it? It will never happen. You know? You'll be waiting a long time because you're still trying to get them to stop giving unhealthy food to our kids, for heaven's sake. Okay. And people come after, I mean, with my kids, I didn't know what was going on and I let it go. But now it's my granddaughter. Someone wants to hurt my granddaughter. I'm up in arms. Because I would not let even a single hair on her head be hurt. And thanks to her, now I see every child as my grandchild. So this is why I say, look, I will never give up, no matter what anyone says to me. I will never give up. I'm like, this is why I love Dotsie. Because Dotsie did not give up, right? She never gives up. I'm like her. I was told when I was working on the internet, I was told it cannot be done. You're not going to convert this from analog to digital. It will never happen. And that was a challenge for me. And I said, no, okay, fine. I think it can be done because I've seen the science that it can be done, and I'm going to implement it. Let's see whether it works or not. And sure enough, it was done. So it's the same thing here, right? People are saying it cannot be done. It's a new system that has to be based on health. Can you not do it? Are you going to wait for regulations that will make you do it? It will never happen. Okay, so now people have been taking this, what I've said, and they've implemented it in their own way. Local regulations are going to vary. And you're going to have to deal with local regulations and see what it takes to make it happen. Beyond that, there is no other top-down directive or anything like that. I'm just telling you what I think is to happen in a system that's based on health. And of course, I'm saying, let's get healthy first. We have to get healthy first. And that begins with, of course, healthy food and plenty of exercise, hydration, all the stuff that we talked about. And so I'm going to stop there. So thank you very much. If anyone else has anything to say, because I've said enough in these 2 days, I want to give this chance for others. Go ahead, BJ.
I love what you said, and thank you so much. I think I've spoken a lot too, but I think for our next convergence being on games, that's going to be a big part of it. And Joya, I brought up something at the end of one of the other talks and we didn't have time to discuss it. And that is about food and romanticizing foods that aren't healthy for us to sell them. Mm-hmm. Because we want to save the animals so much. And I'm wondering if there's a way to skip that part and get straight to the health part. I wouldn't have seen it early on, I don't think, but I am at a place now where I can see something like that happening. And Joy and I were thinking, boy, we could talk a lot about going to a whole new system directly. How can we change that game and not lose the people that we don't want to lose the transition people. We can't turn anybody off. But anyway, I'm wondering if this is part of the whole food game. Is there going to be food left? Are we going to help make sure it happens? And I can picture it now because I know someone, Joya, who very seldom goes to a restaurant. And for some people, that's impossible. Their whole life is meeting people at restaurants or meeting family at restaurants. So there's and of course I've gotten this from you, but I'm making it my own theory, right, about how I can live and how I can spread the message about eating healthy when really I want people to stop eating animals and save the world. Okay. You see what I'm saying? Anybody? Anybody want to chime in on that? Oh, we've only got a few minutes, right? Shoot.
Right, maybe 3 minutes. Yeah, I mean, Annie is saying we love you, Rebecca.
Yeah, we do whole food, plant-based cooking here in our home. And Tammy's always insisting that it doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to take a long time. So what we do to save time, because it can be time consuming to do everything from scratch. We don't have grocery stores like you have maybe in the US or Canada, where you can buy a lot of frozen and packaged things. Everything is made fresh and from scratch down here. So what we do is we cook a couple of meals a week, and we do large portions, and then we alternate. And Liz has always also taught us to make some things with tofu that are really quick to make. So so we may have 3 meals, and then we'll go and repeat those 3 meals again with what we made earlier in the week. So we do have a good refrigerator, and that saves a lot of time, and that makes whole food, plant-based cooking feasible for us in our situation.
And we share the cooking, and that's fun. And do all our shopping in the local markets. There's supermarkets too, but we don't use them. So try to keep it fresh.
Yeah. Dakota, you have something to add?
Yeah, I was just thinking about the idea of if people are in a hurry and maybe can't cook. I always just say, well, I just keep a stash of fruit on hand all the time, and at least you can just grab fruit wherever you go. It's like that's my fast food when I'm in a hurry, when I don't have the time to cook, and it's got the structured water and the fiber, and it tastes good too. And then another question I just wondered is there a way to get a copy of the Million Vegan Grandmothers Declaration, or is that on the website?
It is on the website. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, millionvegangrandmothers.org will take you there.
Thank you.
Thank you. Lisa, are you in the room? She just came in. Okay.
I'm here. Are you?
No, I'm thinking of Lisa Levinson.
Oh, okay, good.
Annie, it's a short comment, then we'll go on to Lisa.
Yes, I saw Lisa earlier. I'm right now I'm at the park, Beverly Hills Park, with my little fur baby here. So yeah, we were at Billy's with Lisa Levinson, and even Paul Koretz came to the LA Zoo, where Billy is locked up along with all the animals. So speaking up about the food, addressing the food, tune in on Unchained TV. I do go live on Unchained on the TikTok part of it, and I make food. I try to simplify, give recipes. But as Dakota said, carrying with us some kind of vegetable or fruit truly, truly helps, because I also notice sometimes I have the craving of chocolates. You know, chocolates are always addictive, whether we like it or not, vegan chocolate or not. And they really get me suckered in. But I love having the vegetables that actually are sweet. They really make me feel satiated. You know, I feel, oh, okay, you know, I feel better now. I don't really have that crazy drive to have that chocolate, that candy that I sometimes feel the stress, you know, because we do deal with traumatic situations when we are protesting, and going live and seeing the animals and dealing with it. So we have to identify that there is a stressful aspect to it that we have to absorb, but we're doing everything we can to share love, and food is sharing love when we do it with love. I always try to remind people when I'm making the food, I always remind them that this is made with love. Whatever you do, you're not making anything wrong. It's perfect the way you make it, as long as you make it with love. And that's the key. Love is what we need for everything we do. And I love that food, the climate healers, not only food healers, is all about love. And this is what turns me on, really makes my heart sing and dance with joy and love. And Chanel's too. I love you all. And my big bro is here. Maybe he wants to say a few words. My big bro, Michael, is right here.
Hi, Michael.
Oh, hey, Dr. Rao. Hi, everybody. Thank you for doing this every so often, 3 months or whatever. It's a wonderful opportunity to engage with other people, like-minded people, and to share our experiences. And hopefully we'll all focus on this journey together and make this a better world, better vegan, kinder world.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you for that.